What's inside our brain? Is it food, sleep, and memes? Yes, perhaps, but beside that, the human brain is actually most mysterious and complex part of human body. This 3-pound organ is the seat of intelligence, hub of sensory processing, control body movements and all cognitive and physical activities. It is the center of thoughts, scaffolding and learning, behavior and emotion. Let's unlock the mystery of brain together. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Maliha's Outlook. It is estimated that brain is made up of 86 billion neurons. Each neuron is connected to another 1,000 neurons and form a complex network of communication. Imagine a head office with billion of employees who receive information from here and there. They process information and respond and generate orders to perform accordingly. Beside neurons, there are glial cells. These are the wonderful cleaners. They remove debris, fight with foreign bodies, prevent infections, and help maintaining myelin sheath and provide nutrition to neuron cells. So we can say that they are also helpers and caregivers of neuron cells. Now, if we cut the brain, we will see two distinguished areas, white matter and gray matter. The somas and interneurons made up the gray matter, which is also known as cortex, while the axons of neurons with myelin sheath are responsible for white matter. As brain is doing crucial jobs all the time and it never rests even when we are sleeping. Therefore, it needs lots of energy and continuous supply of oxygen, which is provided by well distributed and penetrated blood vessels in the brain. The security and protocols of the brain are also up to the notch. It is enclosed in the case of cranium, a hard bone of skull. Suppose you want to ship or parcel some of your fragile stuff. What will you do? You just put it in the carton and send it? No. You support it well with the styrofoam and packing sheets. Then what will you expect with the creator of brain? He also packed it very well with the good care and cushioning of meninges. Meninges is actually a three-layered packing between brain and skull. Outermost layer of meninges is dura mater. It is beneath the skull. It is thick, tough, and vasculated. Arachnoid is the second layer of meninges. It is made up of connective tissues which are avascular. The third layer of meninges is pia mater, which is well vasculated and directly connected to brain. There is a subarachnoid space present between pia mater and arachnoid matter. This space is basically filled with cerebrospinal fluid. This fluid is produced by the ventricles of brain. There are four ventricles present in the brain called cerebral ventricles. These ventricles are the interconnected series of cavities. They are also filled with cerebrospinal fluid. There are two lateral ventricles present in each cerebral hemisphere, and the third ventricle is situated in the diencephalon, while the fourth is located in the hindbrain. The main purpose of cerebrospinal fluid is to provide cushioning to brain in case of any mechanical injury. With the help of this fluid, the tissues of brain remain suspended in a well protected case and remain unharmed during your fall or when you rotate your head or any kind of accident. Cerebrospinal fluid also provide an appropriate chemical media or buffer to remove waste products out of the brain to your blood. Normally, the whole brain works together to give any response, but some parts are more active for some particular stimuli. The brain is commonly divided into three parts: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Forebrain is the largest anterior part of the brain. It includes cerebrum, hypothalamus, and thalamus. The cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. It comprises of the upper cerebral cortex and the inner subcortical structures. Cerebrum has two hemispheres, the left and right cerebral hemisphere. They both are separated with the anterior fissure. The left hemisphere controls the right side of the body, while the right hemisphere controls the left side of the body. Left hemisphere is the in charge of our logical and analytical tasks. It focuses on the facts and realism, more responsible of our understanding towards maths, science, planning and organization. On the other hand, right hemisphere is more interested in imaginative and fictional things. It focused on arts, creativity, music and drama, expression and understanding of emotional and psychological phenomena. Now, your imaginations will lead you toward a scenario that when you are calculating numbers, you are working with your left hemisphere. And when you are listening to music and enjoying it, you are using your right hemisphere. Is it true? Oh no, this is not the case, because though your hemispheres are separated, on the other hand, they are also well connected and well communicated through the corpus callosum. Thus, the both neighbors always share information with each other and coordinate in doing various tasks. Now we discuss the upper cortex of the brain. The upper cortex of the brain is highly wrinkled because it has a large surface area. If I tell you to fix a very large bed sheet in a small box, what will you do? You fold it, right? Same is the case with the cerebral hemisphere. It has folds and ridges as the large surface area is fixed in a very small place. The ridges are called gyri and the folds are called sulci. The hemisphere further divided into four lobes: frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and occipital lobe. The frontal lobe at the front of brain is basically the center where your thinking, emotions, personality, judgment, self control, and muscle movements are monitored. In short, your conscious actions are controlled by the frontal lobe. The frontal lobe handles many abilities like reasoning, social understanding, attention span, short term memory, etc. Frontal lobe is also associated with speech and problem solving. There is an area in frontal lobe located at left hemisphere called Broca's area, which controls and helps in expressing the speech, and it deals with the understanding of language and words. Moreover, it also controls your gesture, face expressions, and nonverbal communication. Behind the frontal lobe, there is parietal lobe. It is the home of sensory processing. It combines information from multiple senses into a usable form. All the information from all the senses is collected in the parietal lobe and then interpreted by it, and then the message sent to the frontal lobe, which order your motor nerves to work accordingly. So the frontal lobe and parietal lobe works hand to hand with each other to control your motions and responses which are generated in the response of any stimuli. Thus, we can say that the information collected from various sense organs like visual and auditory perceptions are decoded here and then passed to the frontal lobe for actions. Therefore, it coordinates our movement and spatial orientation. Any injury or damage to parietal lobe results in trauma or tumor. At the back of brain, there present occipital lobe. It is responsible for visual perception, size, color, form, and motion of visual object is encoded by the occipital lobe. It also plays a crucial role in language, reading, recognizing familiar places, faces, and words. It shares visual information to parietal lobe for further interpretation of information, and also it shares the information with hippocampus to store the visual memories. Any kind of damage to occipital lobe cause difficulty with locating objects, recognizing colors, words, and images. It also causes difficulty in reading and writing. In some cases, it may be responsible of visual illusion and production of hallucination. At the sides of brain, there are present two key structures called temporal lobes. Temporal lobe consists of vernix area, auditory complex, and limbic system. The function of the temporal lobe circulates around auditory stimuli, memory, emotions, fear, fight and flight response of the body. Vernix area is located in the temporal lobe on the left side of the brain. It plays a central part in speech comprehension, language development, and its usage. The auditory complex right behind your ears interprets information in the form of sound waves, differentiate the frequency of sound, pitch, and its intensity. Deep inside the hemisphere, there are the inner parts of forebrain, collectively called diencephalon, consist of limbic system, thalamus, and hypothalamus. The limbic system is present deep within the brain, underneath the cerebral cortex and above the brain stem. A pair of hippocampus is present behind each temporal lobe, resemble the shape of a curvy seahorse. These are the centers of memory. The hippocampus stores all our memory and associated with brain plasticity. So when we learn new things and thinking about new ideas, all the processes are working in the frontal lobe. And when we complete something and learn it properly, the whole process and all the memories are storing in our hippocampus. So, what the frontal lobe is thinking, it's a short term memory. But when it is stored in the hippocampus, it's long term memory. And if the hippocampus damaged, the individual will suffer with the mental disorder called loss of memory or having short term memory, as you see in the film Ghajini.
किसी ने इसके सर पे लोहे की रॉड से मारा था। इस हादसे के बाद इसने अपनी याददाश्त खो दी। अब ये कुछ भी याद नहीं रख पाता है। इस बीमारी को हम कहते हैं शॉर्ट टर्म मेमोरी लॉस।
Do you remember the film Gajni, where Amir Khan was suffering with short term memory loss? In the front of hippocampus, almond like structures called amygdala. They play an important role in our emotional responses like pleasure, fear, anxiety, and anger. Our memories and emotions have strong connections. That's why the memories which have a strong emotional meaning tend to stick our brain and then eventually expressed in our actions. In diencephalon, there is an egg-like structure called thalamus. Thalamus in our brain is the station of all the information we receive from the senses of our body, like touch, sight, hearing, and taste, except smell. Thalamus receive all this sensory information and work as a station and then transfer it to cerebral cortex for further interpretation. Similar to sensory information, all the orders and commands which are generated by our cerebral cortex is received by thalamus and then passed down to the spinal cord. Moreover, our thalamus also helps to remain awake, focused, and control our ability to give attention to a particular information at a time. Below thalamus, there is another very important part of brain. It's actually the headquarter of maintaining homeostasis and hormones of our body. It is hypothalamus. It regulates our body temperature, mood, sense of taste and smell, thirst and hunger. It relays messages from the autonomous nervous system. The pituitary gland, which is also called the master gland, is present in front of the hypothalamus. We can say that hypothalamus is the link between nervous system and endocrine system. It coordinates with the hormone secretion from the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland release many hormones which regulates other glands of our body. For example, FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, activate the follicle formation in the ovaries. In the same way, TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, stimulate our thyroid gland to produce T4 and T3. Thus, we can say that pituitary gland basically control all other glands in the endocrine system. There is another gland present in the diencephalon which is called pineal gland. Pineal gland works to regulate the sleep and wake cycle of an individual. It releases a hormone melatonin which regulates the sleep and wake cycle, which establish our sleep patterns and protect us from oxidative stress. Beneath limbic system and thalamus, here present a stalk-like structure called the brain stem. The most upper part of brain stem is called midbrain. Midbrain consists of tectum and tegmentum. Midbrain connects the brain stem to the forebrain. It is the smallest part of the brain. It is the relay center for sensory information from ears to the cerebrum. Also controls the reflex movements of the eyes, neck, and head muscles. It has a range of neural clusters as it is the connection center between brain and spinal cord. It also has an area called substantia nigra. If this area is affected by Parkinson's disease, cause irregular movement and lack of coordination. Wow, great. It's been a long journey throughout the brain. Now it's the final part of brain called hindbrain. It comprises of cerebellum, pons, and medulla oblongata. Now you think, here comes the end. But actually, what if I say that cerebellum is such an important part of the brain that it is called the little brain? Cerebellum is more mysterious than cerebrum. Actually, it is true. And for your surprise, it is almost have equal surface area as the cerebrum, just fold more tightly than the cerebrum. It holds more than half of the neuron in your whole body and 80% neurons in the brain. Therefore, it looks way more wrinkled than the cerebrum. Cerebellum also has two hemispheres. It plays a vital role in physical movement, maintaining balance, and learning motor skills like driving a car or bicycle, dance, playing musical instruments, writing, and eye movement, etc. Cerebellum also associated with thinking, language processing, and moods, but more research is needed in this regard. Even till now, scientists are unable to decode its function properly, so more research is needed. Beneath midbrain, there lies pons. It keeps you alert when you wake up. It is the junction of many nerve fibers. The nerve fibers of pons connect cerebrum, cerebellum, and spinal cord together. Thus, it transmits signals between forebrain and cerebellum. It also sends information to the lower parts of your body. It controls involuntary functions like breathing, digestion, etc. Beneath pons, there present medulla oblongata, which is a tail-like structure, elongates further into the spinal cord. It carries signals from the brain to the spinal cord and relay the senses from lower body to the brain. It also controls autonomic functions like breathing, heart rate, blood pressure, swallowing of food, and digestion, etc. This is the basic overview of brain. Actually, the brain is way more mysterious than you think. It's million times more efficient than any computer or artificial intelligence. So next time when you think that this task is very difficult and you cannot do it, you just recall the amazing brain God has gifted you. Your brain is capable of doing wonders and actually doing it with your every breath. You just need to unlock your will and powers. So remain curious and question your limits. Thank you for watching Maliha's Outlook. Allah Hafiz.